Hi, very warm welcome to Candle Spa Specialty Teas. Do you have an appointment with us today? I remember us speaking on the phone last week. Okay, so you've booked on our specialist introductory tea tours. So this tour will take around 20 to 30 minutes, and at the end you'll have the opportunity to sample some of our teas from the shop. So if you'd like to come with me, I'll show you to our private tea tour rooms. We reserve these private rooms for our one-to-one tea sessions, although we do have larger rooms, but many of our customers prefer the privacy of these smaller ones. Okay, here we are. Please take a seat here in front of the table. It's already lined up with the different teas that I want to show you today. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the journey. I'm assuming you like tea as much as we do. Do you have a favourite type of tea you drink a lot? Ah yes, that's a wonderful tea. I hope by the end of today's session you'll have a lot more favourites to try. Actually, many of our teas are blended on the premises and made from our unique recipes, so you won't find them anywhere else. So I'm just going to give you a very brief introduction to the main type of teas available on the market. Most of them, including black, white, green and oolong, do have a slight caffeine content actually, but they all vary in different levels. So the white tea, which is made from the youngest buds and the youngest leaves, that tends to be sweeter and actually has the lowest caffeine content out of all the teas. Green tea tends to be slightly bitter in flavour, and that's made from unfermented leaves. Contrary to popular belief, green tea does actually contain caffeine, but only slightly more than white tea. And oolong, which is like halfway between green and black tea, that's made from semi-fermented leaves, and that's got a low caffeine content. Black tea, of course, has the highest caffeine. An average cup of black tea contains about 75 milligrams. Okay, so let's have a look at some of the black teas I've bought to show you today. This one's Earl Grey, which you'll be familiar with. It was actually named after the British Prime Minister Charles Grey, the second Earl Grey in the 1830s. It dates back to his family home in Northumberland, where he commissioned a Chinese mandarin to improve the taste of their drinking water, and this tea was the result. After his wife Lady Grey used it to entertain guests in London, it became really popular. So it's flavoured with bergamot orange rind, and that gives it a distinct, slightly perfumed flavour, and it's really refreshing. Some people like to drink it with a slice of lemon instead of milk. Earl Grey tea contains a lot of antioxidants, so it can reduce fever, and the use of bergamot orange helps with intestinal problems. And this one's Darjeeling. Darjeeling actually started life as an experiment in India to see which crops would grow in the Darjeeling region. The tea seeds were actually brought from China and planted in Darjeeling as part of the experiment. It went so well that the government ordered several tea nurseries to grow. So although it's Indian grown, the leaves come from China. Darjeeling is a very subtle, unique flavour with a slightly floral taste. It's sometimes called the champagne of teas Because it's so subtle, it just needs the tiniest drop of milk. It can help relax the nerves, and it can reduce obesity. It clears the throat, and it's really good for stimulating digestion. This one over here, this is our Assam tea. The Indian region of Assam is actually one of the largest tea producers in the world. It's a really strong blend, and it tends to be deep red in colour. It's got a really rich aroma. Assam is actually used to make several breakfast teas, like English breakfast tea. And that's what I'll show you next. So Assam's, like Earl Grey, is full of antioxidants. It prevents build-up of plaque in the arteries. It lowers the risk of heart attack, as well as Parkinson's disease, and actually it's really good for improving blood circulation. So this one is English breakfast. And English breakfast is really popular with some of our American customers. Actually, no one is quite sure where this loose leaf tea blend first originates from, even though it's called English breakfast tea. But popular belief is that it's actually a Scottish tea originating in England. Originating in Edinburgh by a tea merchant. English breakfast tends to be a blend of Assam, Kenya and Ceylon. And because it contains strong blends like Assam, it's got a really rich, full-bodied flavouring. It can help reduce anxiety. It contains antioxidants and even helps prevent heart disease and stroke. This one over here is Ceylon tea, and it takes its name from its country of origin, which is actually now known as Sri Lanka. Sometimes it's called Sri Lanka tea to keep it up to date. Ceylon's got a really mellow, slightly bitter flavour, but it can be easily sweetened with sugar. It's really good for reducing the risk of coronary disease, and it can even act as a defence against colds and flu. Okay, so those were our black teas. The next type of tea I'm going to show you is some of our green tea variety. Are you familiar with green teas at all? Perfect. Although it's likely you would have only tried the generic green tea, which is available in lots of shops. But actually, green tea is a variety on its own, and there are several blends and types within the green tea category. I've just brought you a few to show you. Green teas tend to have a lot of health benefits, more so than black tea. And they tend to have more antioxidants than black tea, so they can help prevent cancer. They're really good for increasing the body's immunity. And it's also thought to help prevent bone disease like osteoporosis. So here we have Male Feng. Male Feng originates from China, and it has a really delicate, light flavour, lighter than a lot of green teas you might find in the supermarket. Male Feng means fir peak in English. Here, have a smell of the leaves. It's got quite a grassy aroma, hasn't it? And this one over here, this one is Sencha, which is a Japanese green tea, which means simmered tea. This is hugely popular in Japan. Sencha's unique in that this tea is prepared by simmering the leaves, hence its name, simmered tea, rather than grinding them. A lot of people say that Sencha has a slight smell of the sea and aren't too keen on the smell. But flavour-wise, it has a really good bittersweet taste. Here, what do you think? Have a smell here. It's quite strong, isn't it? But it has a lovely taste. Okay, so the teas, here we are. Let's move on to the oolong teas. An oolong, if you remember, these are a halfway house between green and black tea in the way that the leaves are prepared. So this oolong tea, it's called Formosa tea, which is grown in Taiwan, and it means beautiful. It certainly smells beautiful. It's got a lovely ripe fruity aroma, which is lovely and refreshing. It smells beautiful, doesn't it? And this one over here is Lishan, and it's the most famous of all Taiwanese teas. It's grown high up in the Li Mountains, and because it's really difficult to produce because of how high up it is in a really rocky area, it tends to be very expensive. But even so, it remains one of the most popular oolong teas in the world. It's got a gorgeous aroma, it smells of orchids, and it's very refreshing to drink. Okay, so here's some selection of white teas I want to show you. If you've never tried white tea before and you're used to drinking black or green, white tea can taste a bit strange at first. Some say it's an acquired taste. White teas tend to be sweeter because they're made from the youngest buds, and they do have like a delicate fruity flavour. So I've just brought you some of our most popular white teas. This one is Cherry Blossom. I love this smell, it's amazing, isn't it? It's actually a blend of white tea and sweet cherry blossom. And sweet cherry blossom is what gets it its smell. And over here, this is our unique blends of scented teas, herbal teas and fruit teas. All these types of blends that are made on the premises, these are all caffeine free, and many of them have specific medicinal properties, especially the blends from our herbal range I'm going to show you in a minute. So for example, our echinacea tea, that's great for building the immune system if you're prone to lots of colds and flus, especially in the winter, and it can really soothe your chest if you have a cough. Echinacea tea is one of the most popular teas we have in the winter time. It's got a strong smell, don't you think? This blend here, I'll just open it for you so you can smell. It's a really popular summer tea. It's made from summer fruits, mango and lemon. It's a lovely refreshing drink, and some of our customers even freeze it so they can drink it as a kind of iced tea. Here, have some of the tea leaves in your hand. It's got a gorgeous aroma. Beautiful. So those were some of the teas I wanted to show you today. We obviously have absolutely hundreds, but these are just a selection. I know because there's so many types, with green and black and white and oolong, it can get really confusing. But I think that's part of the fun, experiencing all the different flavours and aromas. So just before we finish, is there any teas in particular you wanted more information about? Yes, definitely. We often make up individual blends at customers' request. So for example, last week we made up a blackberry, elderflower and ginger tea for a customer who wanted a blend of our fruit and herbal teas. And someone else last week wanted a blend of rosehip, lavender and honey. So really, we can create absolutely any blend you like. So if there's any particular flavour you want to create, if you just ask in the shop after this, they'll be happy to prepare that for you there and then. So that, if you haven't got any more questions, that sums up our tour for today. Thanks so much for coming, I hope you had a good time. And do have a browse in our shop. There's so much there, so I'm sure you'll want to come back. And remember that if you'd like to sample any of the teas you've heard about, our shop assistants will be happy to prepare any type you'd like. It was a pleasure meeting you. And hope to see you again soon.